Recent weeks have seen stirrings of progress on the long-running conflict in southern Thailand. On February 7th, the Thai government and representatives of the BRN, the main insurgent group in the Deep South, agreed on a roadmap to try to end the region's long-running conflict. After a pause in peace talks due to last year's election in Thailand, the two sides say they are now willing to put pen to paper, as the Malaysian government's mediator announced to the press. The details of the plan still need to be hashed out in further talks between the two sides. The Malay-Muslim insurgency in southern Thailand has been ongoing for decades, and since the beginning of peace talks in 2013, there have been many false dawns and reversals. Is a resolution of some kind finally on the horizon? My name's Sebastian Strangio, and I am the Southeast Asia editor of The Diplomat. To explore this recent announcement and to review some recent developments in Thailand's Deep South, I will be speaking today with Zachary Abuza. Zach is a professor at the National War College in Washington, D.C., who has been following the conflict for many years. Zach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First off, give us your assessment of this latest announcement. Looking beneath, the rhetoric of cooperation and amity that was expressed by the Malaysian mediator, do you see signs that the two groups are finally moving toward a position where they might be willing to compromise?
I think there is some reason for hope. First of all, from the insurgents' point of view, their level of violence, they have just not been able to sustain. They've taken losses, arrests. If they are not fighting, those black market sources of weapons and ammunition start to dry up. So a protracted peace process has slowed them down. Insurgencies are living organisms. They respond to the security environment in which they operate. And, after 20 years of fighting, I think the organization is fairly tired. Their membership is just not as zealous as it was a decade ago. And so I think there's a sense on their part that this is the time is right before they start to lose more on the ground. And if they don't have any military fight left in them, the government's going to feel that they don't have any real incentive to cut a deal with them or make anything serious offer that would address any of their core grievances. And from the government side, this has been going on for 20 years. It is an irritant. You do have this new civilian-led government. So I think they would like to put it behind them.
Has this been reflected in the security situation in the Deep South? How's that changed over the past few years?
Yeah, overall violence is down, and I've been following the violence really closely, and there are different categories of violence, whether it's targeted assassinations that largely focused on opponents of the BRN within the Muslim community or government officials, mass casualty bombings, or more targeted bombings of security forces on patrol. We've seen these different categories of violence ebb and flow. In the past few years, it's really gone to some tit for tat violence. If there are arrests of BRN officials or cells, they do tend to retaliate. But other than that, the violence that we used to see on a daily basis is now closer to on a monthly basis.
Now, you mentioned the shift to a civilian government in Thailand. We also had Prime Minister Anwar come into power in Malaysia at the end of 2022. What impact do you think these two changes of government have had? Have they made the potential for progress in the peace negotiations, more likely?
That's a really important point. Anwar has always taken the insurgency in southern Thailand very seriously. It's something he cares deeply about. I think he always felt that he had good relations with Bangkok, with the officials in Bangkok. But, part of it is also that, if you think about where he is politically and where he is under attack, it's from the Malay heartland. He has to deal with Bersatu. He has to deal with PAS, which is right there neighboring Kelantan. And so he has this political incentive to actually care about the Malay insurgency in southern Thailand. So there are political rationales for why he wants this done. There are also personal ones. He replaced the Malaysian mediator for this. The last one had been appointed by the previous government. It was it was the a police official that beat Anwar up when he was arrested years ago. So there was real personal animus between Anwar and Rahim. But you know, Anwar has this a former general. He trusts him. He believes that he has the ear of the generals in Bangkok. So I think that's important. Anwar's really tried to show that Malaysia's good offices are there. They're trying to dispel concerns in Bangkok that Malaysia has ulterior motives. I think he's done a good job.
Mm.
Going
Yeah, go
back
on.
to going back to Thailand, I think there is we have to understand that even though there is a civilian government and Sreta has appointed a new civilian to lead the negotiation, he's not new to this. He was the deputy of the peace panel when it was under General Wanlop. You know, he has experience. The one thing we have to be very careful about is that even though it is a civilian government in Thailand, the military is always there, and they have all these extra legal mechanisms to put pressure on the government. And I think Sreta, you know, given this electoral victory of Move Forward that did not manifest, but now with Vutai, you have a civilian government, but Sreta has been given his lane, and that lane is getting foreign investment in, building up exports, and really being the salesman in chief. That's his lane. That's what the military wants him to do. And I think it's very clear that his government is not going to go any further than what the military allows him to do with regards to southern Thailand. And I could make the case about Myanmar as well.
And of course, the military has a history of treating this conflict in southern Thailand or viewing it through a security lens and taking a much more hardline position toward the insurgency. Am I correct?
It is. And what's really frustrating about that is that the Thai military has a long history of successfully dealing with insurgencies. And those were dealt with not through kinetic means. It was through development. It was through land reform or offering general amnesties. They dealt with the Thai Communist Party. They dealt with previous iterations of Southern insurgents very effectively. And it's really been in the past 20 years that they've really securitized the problem, and very hardline policies. There's no talk of general amnesties. And indeed, a year ago when they had the joint comprehensive plan toward peace announced, the BRN asked, could we come back to Thailand to, you know, work with our communities, try to get them on board, sell them about the peace plan? And the Thai government really wouldn't even allow them to do that. There's still bounties on their heads. So there are many things that the Thai military could do to actually make this a more amenable peace process.
And finally, let's talk about the BRN a little bit. When the talks were postponed pending the result of the Thai election, there was some discussion, the International Crisis Group and other observers, that this was actually a pretext and that there were divisions within the BRN leadership between the political leadership that was involved in the negotiations with the Thai government and the military leadership about whether to press forward with these talks, the military leadership being arguably more willing to continue the armed struggle. How do you think the state of play is within this organization? Do you see those tensions as still existing?
I think those tensions are natural in any insurgent movement between the kind of diplomatic or political wing and the armed wing. The Joint Comprehensive Plan Towards Peace, or what is described as the roadmap, uh, basically accepts that they will negotiate in the context of the Thai constitution, which, makes clear there is the unitary Thai state. There is no space in there for independence. And arguably, there's not a lot of space in there for genuine political and economic autonomy. So what the BRN has agreed to, what is on paper right now, falls far short of the movement's original goals, of an independent state or even very real and meaningful political autonomy and cultural autonomy. So there are going to be a lot of people that say, hey, we've been fighting, our comrades have been killed, we've been arrested, tortured. We cannot sell out the ideals of the movement. And then there's the political reality. They don't have a lot of resources. They don't have a lot of friends overseas. The movement is small. It never really gained traction. And they're militarily less capable than they were a decade ago. So there are always tensions. Every time they've had a peace process, one of the things the Thai government has asked them to show their goodwill, but also their command and control. Can there be a ceasefire? Can you make it stick? And there are always going to be hardliners within the military side that will never accept a peace deal with the government. And you will have spoilers. And so the question is, how well can the BRN leadership sell this to their own rank and file? And again, I think the Thai government's being very short-sighted, not letting the BRN leadership back, taking bounties off their head so that they can go and make the case.
Well, it seems like there's still likely to be a long way to go. We'll keep an eye on it, and maybe we can check back in with you in future if there's any more developments. Zach, thanks for your time, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure, Sebastian.